Welcome to the Reclaim Leader podcast. I'm Jason Tucker.
And I'm Jesse Skiffington.
We're two pastors in the trenches who are passionate about church health for greater gospel impact.
We share the ups and downs of ministry, strategies that worked for us,
and some that didn't.
Best practices and practical tools for church leadership.
The goal, to help all of our churches flourish. Let's get started.
See another sunrise, sing a little song.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reclaim Leader. Man, Jesse, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done. I feel like we're coming back after our own summer vacation here.
That's right.
Man, the birds are chirping, the kids are back in school. I am ready for the routine. I am so ready for the routine. And so for us in real time, our kids this week have just gone back to school. And I don't know, I'm ready. As much as I love summer, I'm ready for the next phase.
Yeah, getting back into the rhythm of the week, really, and the planning, looking ahead, getting into the routine with your staff. And a lot of vacation time is over, not just for us, but for maybe our team or our key volunteers, and get a little semblance of normal for a little while, even though it's a lot. September
It really is
a lot, Jason. As you were talking about wanting to get back into routine, I'm like, is it going to be routine? I feel like every Sunday in September is just like, bam, 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 there's something going on, but lots of good stuff.
You're not wrong. And and that's a bit about what we're talking about today in this episode. But first, I just want to welcome back a lot of our listeners, our new listeners who have been with us. Maybe they joined us this summer, and it's been great. I just think this summer, hearing from pastors all over the country, and we've gotten little notes of encouragement here and there and questions, some kind of best practice sort of stuff. And man, we're a solid 2 months into the 400s of this podcast. So again, this has been a great journey. Thanks, everybody. I want to continue to encourage you, share this with your colleagues. If you find an episode particularly helpful, share it. Share it with others who you think it might help. Again, we offer this for free. It's just something that we're trying to help as many pastors and churches as possible. So leave us a review, subscribe to the newsletter. You can do that online. Be part of the community. We love having you here. Also, before we get started, just a reminder, next Monday, September 15th, is a free masterclass that I'm doing to help you increase engagement in your church. Again, totally free, just going through with some ideas, some things that work, some things that have worked for us, and to help you walk away from that with your own, at least, outline of a plan going into this fall. My goal is, how do we help everybody's planning go a little bit easier and a little bit more intentional, and hopefully even more effective and impactful? So
nice.
So to sign up for that, if you're watching us on YouTube, right at the bottom of our screen there, it says reclaimleader.com/fall-forward. That's how you go to that link. You could register for the masterclass. You'll get a link for it, and off we go. Well, speaking of off we go, it is definitely launch season in life, but I feel over the last month that I'm not at 100%. And it's because it's been a challenging end of summer for me. It was so many great things. I don't want to make it feel like woe is me, but I admit, especially a couple of weeks ago, I was feeling really depleted. And whenever I get that way, I start to recognize some warning flags in my own heart. The verse I always think of is Luke 6:45. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of.
Sure does.
And I notice in my own way that I'm speaking to myself, the way that I'm speaking to or about others, I just notice is not what I want, or it's not what I think God wants. It's that old analogy of the coffee cup. Someone bumps into you, coffee spills out. Why is the coffee spilled out? Well, not just because they bump into you, but because that's what was in your cup. If you had milk or water or anything else, that's what would spill out. And so the idea is, what's spilling out of me as life is bumping into me? What's coming out of my cup? And whenever you sort of ask that question, at least for me, whenever I kind of ask that question, it's a real good reset to think, okay, am I all right? Am I doing okay with everything going on? And what I sort of discovered in the last couple of weeks was no, I'm not. So on vacation, we had a little bit of extended family strain, in the middle of vacation. So it wasn't There's a part of it that was restful and a part that wasn't. We've got some extended family kind of going through a hard time across the country with my uncle's in a really bad accident. I've been over the last month just beat up by the complaint department, which is, all the leading change stuff, which leads to a lot of sideways energy for me.
Yeah.
And it's all because of, and we've been talking about this for a year, but our new service schedule and all the things around that is mostly what that's about.
Sure.
And which, by the way, in real time happens this coming Sunday. So finally, we'll just kind of get it over with and make the change. Yeah. And then just the busyness of kids, school stuff, back to school stuff, work, all the other things, small groups, all the other things that we're doing in the life of the church. So here's what I was noticing. What was my heart full of? What was coming out of me just felt a bit broken. And I don't know how else to explain it other than I was down. I was a low energy, feeling a little bit numb, feeling a little bit like I don't know if my heart's as into it as it should be right now and into everything. I sort of recognize this spiritual heart arrhythmia, right? And whenever that happens, I do have some practices I like to put in place to correct it. So I feel like I'm limping into September. Well, what are some ways I could make that limp a little better, a little less limpy?
Very good.
And so that's what we're talking about today. I'm talking about some things that have helped me. And I know, Jesse, you'll just kind of pepper in some things also that help you. But here's the target. If the target is to love God with all my heart, soul, and mind, and to love my neighbor as myself, how do I do that personally? And what does that lead to in the life of the church? And I don't know about you. I think it's probably just busyness, but I know you've had your own stuff going on. And how you feeling as you roll into this next season? I feel tired.
Yeah. I think too, there's tired that is, I need to take some breaths. And I think some of what we're talking about today is to kind of just turning the corner on some of that and getting some things back in place that are going to allow love to be what's coming out of our hearts and not so much the other stuff, but there is also like a deeper tired too. And so I think as we're talking about this, is it, there's the, how do I get kind of recharged for a new season? And then there's the layer underneath that is like, I really need a break or I'm going to break apart, and so I think maybe distinguishing those. I remember one time I was pitching in a summer series for my team that I played for. This is way back. And I'd pitched like 3 days in a row. And I was 18 at the time and not wanting to acknowledge that I was tired. So I get out there. It's the last inning. There's a runner on second. We're ahead by 1 run. And I just had nothing left. And I turned to the field umpire who's standing there in between pitches. And I said, I got nothing left. And he kind of just gave me like a smile and a nod. And the very next pitch I threw was hit like 400 feet over the center field fence. Because I had nothing left. And so that's a different kind of tired. That's like I need to go and really take some serious time. And then there's the kind of tired that I think you and I are talking about here, which is I'm with you. There's a lot going on, kids going back to school, planning, lots of things for the fall and then life kind of coming in. And so I'm feeling that same way. I was sharing before we hit record, we had 3 people pass away here in the last week and a half or so. And so there's that additional layer of being with families and caring for them, planning services. And there's just a lot coming at us. And if we're already feeling a little bit tired, how do we go? So that's why I tuned in today, Jason. I wanted to hear what you were going to tell us.
All right. So here's some things that I like to do that always helps. And indeed, these have already helped over the last couple of weeks as I've started to, whenever I notice this happening in my life, I intentionally do these things. Why I don't do all these things all the time, we'll never know. But the first thing is I think about renewing my mind because it seems to me the mind's the gateway to the heart and soul. So if I can get my focus right, it seems like I can open up myself for the Lord to do his work, not just in renewing my mind, but my heart and soul as well. Sure. And I think on Philippians 4:8, Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things.
Mhm.
And this is a reminder for me to just soak my mind in the right
Mhm.
information. I think a way of thinking about it is your life is kind of like a social media feed, if you will. It's
Mhm.
it's creating a spiritual algorithm. What is the algorithm that's being produced by what I'm inputting into
Mhm.
my life?
Mhm.
And so for me, I've got to get back into keeping my mind on what matters to God.
Mhm.
And very practically, a lot of this has to do with just a state of gratitude, just intentional gratitude. I immediately have a reset when I start talking about gratitude, and I make sure that gratitude becomes a central part of my prayer life every morning.
Mhm.
It's funny. It seems like, I don't know, it doesn't seem very complicated, but it has a profound impact on me when I get into times like this. If I keep my mind on what I'm grateful for, or keep my mind on what is good, and the Lord helps me along the way. So I will say, in the last month, as I've been going through sort of some hard things, I've also gotten a lot of encouragement from the Lord,
Mhm.
tons, and at just the right time. And I had a friend just this last weekend who I hadn't had a chance to sit and talk to for a while. Basically said, if it weren't for what we were doing in our services, his father who had passed away, he wasn't sure where he would be in his faith when he passed away. He said it had to do with the fact that we do online worship and they were at home and able to watch together, had a profound impact on them.
Yeah.
And I heard that just a couple days after hearing a critique of how we do church.
Yeah, sure.
That was really hard to hear. So God will also give you the right things to soak your mind on.
Mhm.
But if we're so distracted on all of the problems, it's really hard to kind of soak my mind in the right things. Does that make sense?
Totally does. Yeah. I think especially when you're getting pummeled by stuff that are not those things, right? The
Yeah.
complaint department and the whiny department and the you should be better department or whatever it is, it's just like grief. And so I remember, I think we talked about this a long time ago, but for a long time when we were going through a big season of change, I had an encouragement file. Just anytime somebody said something nice in an email or whatever, like I put it in a file so I could go back and look. Oh, we are doing. There are some positive things going on around here, and it's amazing how much louder that negative voice or voices can be, even whether it's our own internal critique or coming from the outside or whatever, than the good things. We notice the problems and the complaints way more than what Paul says we should be focusing on, which is the good stuff. And so just asking for the Lord to help you see what is good, what is working, what is going well, and how God is bearing fruit through your ministry. I think those are all healthy things. And I remember maybe it was Earl Palmer, who's a Presbyterian pastor out here on the West Coast, kind of helped me get my Presbyterian roots way back. And he would talk about antidotes, just like you started out with, Jason. What is an antidote to feeling down or discouraged? And gratitude, or thinking about what is good, is a great antidote to that. And I think there's a discipline to it as well. So just having that practice of, Lord, where are you at work? And I love hearing that God is kind of sending some people your way to encourage you too.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear.
Totally. Do you know what it also reminds me of, Jesse? And I think this is the hardest part, is to get perspective, because I have to be reminded that my career isn't necessarily the same thing as my kingdom purpose.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a part of it.
Yeah.
But that God has a purpose for me as me, not just my role as a pastor, or not just.
Yeah. You are not Jason. Pastor Jason is not your only identity.
Right.
Jason, beloved child of God. Right. This is
exactly right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. And it's hard to remember that.
It is. Well, and when your Christian life is tied into a very public expression of faith, and then in the encouragement and pastoral ministry to others, it's, we're told in seminary, be careful, don't let your identity become the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's never going to happen to me. But man, it does, right? So yeah, working through that, I think is important.
The other part of soaking my mind in what's right is I try to do something new in my time with God, just to reawaken like a muscle that hasn't been used in a while. I had that happen when I did squats recently.
I bet you did. That's
Oh my gosh, dude. First of all,
could you even walk?
Somebody should have stopped me.
Yeah.
Somebody should have stopped me and said, listen, you don't need to do squats anymore. Just walk. Just do something. But I did squats. I didn't even have any weight. I had a kettlebell that I held in front of me. So all the pressure's on my legs, not my back. I was always worried about. Dude, it was days of pain.
That's right.
Days of pain. I couldn't even believe it. I felt so weak. But when you do something new, when it comes to time with God, it does exercise something that can feel on the, instead of painful, it can feel very refreshing.
Yeah, I think so. We're coming back to something that you used to do or whatever. I think I've shared this, maybe, I can't remember, maybe I didn't, but I was talking to my kids about, I asked them, how do you think mom and I do at living out our faith at home? Because, my pastor, very public part of things, but at home, how does it go? And they were very gracious and complimentary for the most part. And then Addie, my daughter, said, Dad, I've never come downstairs in the morning and seen you sitting at the breakfast table with your Bible open doing your devotions. And I was like, oh, dang. And here's why she thought of that. Because my mom, her grandma, does that every single morning. She has her notebook, she has her Bible, she has her cup of tea or whatever it is. And very analog, kind of deal. And so of course I backpedaled and I was like, well, I do mine on the YouVersion, and I have a digital devotion that I'm doing or whatever. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing that for a little while, kind of just to show Addie that I can do it, and so for a good chunk of the summer, I just had the Bible open and was just reading through Mark, a chapter a day. And I would say, hey, you guys should take a moment, sit down at the table and read a chapter of Mark too. But it was actually kind of a refreshing new habit. It's something, of course, that I've done in my life is having morning devotions, but doing it in a way that was kind of, getting called out a little bit and then putting something into practice. It actually had a really kind of enlivening experience for me. So
that's pretty cool. Yes. Yeah. So like whether it's just sort of new practice or a new devotional, or maybe you want to get into a new book that helps you, I think doing a new thing helps your brain to reconnect in a different way. At least that's what works for me.
Sometimes for me, I notice I have to leave my office. Being here for 16 years now, Jason, when I'm in my office, my mind is cluttered by all the things. And so when I want to write or something, I kind of need to leave. There are times when I can do it here at the office, but a lot of times now I got to go to a different spot. Yeah. And so maybe it takes something like that in your devotion. Go find a park to sit in or go to a coffee shop and just spend some time with God. Yeah.
And there's no clear demarcation here, but another way that I renew my mind, which has everything to do with heart and soul as well, is I double down on relationships that are life-giving. Yeah. So I had an opportunity I had the opportunity to hang out with a buddy I hadn't hung out with in a long time, just one-on-one time. And it was nothing. We're just sitting in his backyard, hanging out and talking about life, kids, everything else. It was great. We had hung out with friends over the long weekend. We had a chance just to go to someone's house, and there was just 6 of us, 3 couples, and we were just had a chance to catch up and to talk. And just saying yes to those opportunities. And this is why it's so important for me, because I will have the tendency when I'm feeling down, because I'm more naturally introverted, is to say no to those opportunities because I feel like I don't have the energy.
Sure.
So for me, I've got to sort of make myself do the opposite of what I feel and to really invest in that relational time. Go to the beach, go to do the things, because that is so life-giving and really important for me.
Yeah. And so as an introvert, it's not that you don't need people, you just need the right people, right? Yeah. You don't need 100 people, you need few. And I think that's important. I think there are a lot of pastors who can be act in an extroverted way. I mean, there are a lot of people introverts that you can be that when you're out, doing your thing. But then you need that refreshing from just that handful that are close in. And I think that's super wise. Do you have people in your life where you can just be you? Kind of goes back to the I'm a child of God thing that we just talked about. But where can I just be myself without any asterisks or kind of caveats, or, kind of making sure that I'm saying the right things, or, and hopefully we're authentic all the time, but you know what I'm talking about, those places
Totally.
where you can just be yourself.
Yeah.
And I have a few friendships like that where I don't have to worry about being loved and accepted or whatever. It's just the water we swim in is close friendship. And having my brother in town, it was kind of like that the last couple of weeks. He has newborn James, 2 months old. It was so much fun, but just hanging out on the deck, talking about life and talking about nothing at all. It's a restorative in so many ways. So I think I'm glad you brought that one, because it is a way to renew your mind. There's a way of just kind of getting to process with people you trust and that know you, and you don't have to kind of play at anything with.
That's the hardest part, I think, for us pastors is the sheer lack of relationships that are outside of the church. Because even if we have friends in the church, been in church a long time, I forget that in their eyes, I still have the pastor hat on until something happens that reminds me, oh yeah, maybe we're not just the friends that I thought we were, because I have this extra. And some would say, well, that's the price you pay for ministry. And I suppose that's true, but I think it doesn't mean we shouldn't try to cultivate friendships outside of that, so that we do have some healthier time.
And,
we can just
maybe that's really is why it's even more important to do that, because we are going to get hurt by people who are friends. There are friends in the church that we're close with, but there is that church pastor dynamic aspect as well. And so when the church stops working for them or whatever happens, it's inevitably going to fracture that friendship. It's really hard. And so having people outside of that to be able to kind of have that continuity of friendship is so crucially important. So we should invest in people in our church and be vulnerable and open ourselves up. But you and I have been around long enough now to know that also comes with the prospect of maybe some hurt, some injuries, some scars that are going to come. So that's just having those people. One of my best friends, we see each other maybe once or twice a year. Most of the time it's to go to a Huskies game together. But really, that's enough. And then we talk. We both have busy lives, so we talk on the phone every couple months or whatever. We kind of have this one anchor point of something we do every year. And it's just so rejuvenating, and knowing that even just being able to think about that relationship and knowing that there's someone out there that gets me all the way deep down.
I love it. All right. So then kind of the back half of this conversation is, as I'm renewing my mind, taking care of myself physically is a big part of that.
Yeah.
So here's some things that I've been leaning into. One new thing, which I'm always trying to incorporate a new thing, because I realize I need more hobbies. I'm terrible at it. And I
feel selfish. That's why the pastors really struggle with hobbies, because we're like, who am I to take time for myself? But anyway, sorry, that was a little aside.
No, I know. So first, just physically, the things I need to make sure I do, I make sure, am I getting enough sleep?
Yeah.
Am I taking care of my nutrition? Like if I'm eating terribly and going to bed at 1 a.m, how am I going to expect to feel okay? It's only going to make things worse. So am I taking care of those things, and am I getting some exercise? Even that just means going out and going for a walk after dinner, in the morning. I mean, anytime. Am I doing those? It doesn't sound very spiritual, but it really is. It really helps, because we're integrated beings. We're body and soul together. So it's not like our spiritual life is somehow divorced from our physical.
That's right.
So like, for example, if you're sick, if you're under the weather, you probably don't feel great spiritually. It's because those things are connected. So I make sure I'm doing that. And that definitely helps.
And those are things like anything. You come and go from that, right? You go through a stretch. It's like, it's the holiday. And my wife and I always joke around how we're on the tomorrow plan. That's like our favorite diet plan. We'll start that tomorrow. We'll start that after the weekend on Monday. It's like there's always tomorrow. And so And it's easy to slide into that, right? Where we're not doing the things we know are good for us. And then sometimes we go, hey, I'm kind of having a hard go. Well, stopping to think, am I taking care of myself physically is a good question to ask.
Yeah.
So eat a little better for a week, set aside the sugar, get some good rest, do that exercise. I mean, think about it. When you exercise, your heart rate goes up, your lungs are pumping, oxygen's flowing through your brain a lot better, all the things, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's a one question that we should, as pastors, go to when we're feeling tired, limping into a season, go, well, how am I doing at taking care of myself? Well, summertime, kids are running around, we're doing all kinds of things, we're eating crazy stuff. No wonder I feel a little sluggish and not so good. So get some of those habits back. I would say one, now this is no judgment out there, so do what you want with this one, but I noticed when I have Instagram installed on my phone, I can't help but scroll too much. Like there's a fun amount of scrolling, and then there's the 15-minute limit that hits and you ignore it. And by the third time you've ignored it, something's wrong, right? So so for me, I just took Instagram off for the summer. I was like, I love it. It's fun. I'm not, whatever, have Instagram. But for me, I needed to not for a while. I needed to not hear the extra noise or even just the funny nothings or the constant drips of how to live my life better if I did this or that or whatever, or the news cycle or the political whatever. So it's been really nice. And it's really funny because now I'm not missing it really all that much.
Yeah.
And I think it's been good for my brain, for my mental well-being.
I can't believe you brought this up, because that's something I definitely knew that was contributing to just me feeling off.
Yeah.
I was scrolling too much.
Yeah.
So I just yesterday deleted all my social media from my phone. And the idea is, if I want to check it for whatever reason, I'll check it on my laptop.
There you go. Yeah.
Because I'm not going to sit there and scroll my laptop. Like I'm just going to check any updates or whatever, or if I want to post something. But I took it off my phone, and I am already feeling the benefits of that. So for me, I need to take a little fast from that. Yeah.
And it's not
the inputs. The inputs aren't helping me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the inputs. It's what goes into your heart's going to come out of your heart. So if we're just, funny memes are fine. How many puppy videos do I need to watch?
It's like, for me, it's like gym bros and like.
Yeah, it's fun. Mostly fun, harmless.
I must have watched a recipe on how to make healthy food, because now it's like gym bros telling me to eat cottage cheese and everything. So
and anybody out there, maybe you have way better boundaries than Jason and I do with this stuff. I don't know. But it may be taking a break, especially if you're feeling tired. Yeah. Give yourself permission to just, like you did. It's not gone forever. It's just in a different place where you have to, there's a couple more steps. It's, I don't know how many times I've glanced at my phone, even in our conversation now. It's just always pulling for our attention.
Yeah.
So what can you do to mitigate some of that, just to give your space for your brain to be bored a little bit? And that can be good too.
And here's the other thing that I did that I'm really glad. I started it in July, and that is I started learning golf.
Nice.
And I took a lesson. I've got another lesson coming up, and it's just through our county. We have a really great county park system.
Yeah.
With some really affordable courses and golf lessons and stuff like that. And I just went the other day to a par 3 pitch and putt. And honestly, I'll go to the driving range for like an hour, or pitch and putt for an hour, and I feel so much better. I could come back to the office and I'm just like, I feel so good. And somehow doing that new thing brings a level of joy that I didn't realize I was kind of missing. The joy in that kind of thing for myself. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
And I gotta say,
that's good.
I've really been enjoying it, and that has been very healing for me.
Yeah, I think that's so insightful, just to have something that is, you may be learning a new skill, or you're doing something that is so just different than anything else that you're doing in your life. I think it is life-giving in that sense. So anyway, I can't wait for you to be good enough at golf. Let's go play.
Well, from what I hear, the better I get, the more angry I'm going to get. So
yeah, I
don't know if that's going to be very healing.
I did have that experience. That was a long time ago, though, when I was single and playing a lot of golf and getting good enough to be mad at myself. And I'm like, what am I doing? Yeah, no,
Well,
I think it's important. Those are just crucial things. Like find
yeah.
those other things that are, for some people it's woodworking, for some people it's maybe take up crocheting, I don't know, do something that.
Or art. A lot of people like taking painting classes and stuff like do something to invest in yourself.
That's a kind of a cumulative skill perhaps, but it's also just completely in a different lane, or something that can be just kind of your own thing.
Yeah, something that has nothing to do with what you do in a way.
Or maybe with anything else. Like it's
Yeah.
not contributing to making a cleaner house, or my new hobby is going to be carpentry so I can fix the bathroom. That's not that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, these are the things that are helping me not limp so bad going into the season. But I do feel, honestly, even though this has been a hard stretch for me, I do overall feel pretty good. And I will say these practices have been a big part of that, especially the first part about doubling down on my time with God and soaking my mind in the right things.
Yeah.
It really is transformational. So I do feel like I've got some energy in the tank now.
Good.
When a couple weeks ago, I was feeling pretty run down. So
Yeah.
I don't know, pastors out there, if you're feeling the same way, or maybe you don't now, and praise God for that. But maybe whenever you do, this is an episode you want to bookmark and come back to just to be reminded, because we all need that. We all need reminding. Because here's the thing, none of these practices changed my circumstances, but they changed the me that I bring to the circumstances.
That's right.
And so as God's given me real encouragement along the way, perspective only comes on the other side of the healing. So let yourself be healed and take the time to do the things that you need. I don't know. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
The conversation, I think, it's you and I kind of seem like we are always tracking along kind of the same lane of experience and things, which that's why this conversation is so helpful, and why it's, I think, really helpful and healthy for pastors to have a place just to kind of decompress, church leaders, staff, and whoever's listening in. You just need a place to kind of process what's going on, and to be reminded that if you're tired and the things coming out of you are maybe not quite as Christ-like as you would like them to be, it's not rocket science to kind of begin to move back in a healthy direction, but it's going to take some intentionality and, some of this renewing of your mind that you've given us some things to think about here, Jason. So rooting for everybody out there. You're not alone in this. And we know it's kind of a long road we're all walking, and there's times where we're limping, times where we feel really great, times where we're kind of having a harder go. And God is with us through it all. And we want to be with each other in the midst of all that too.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, everyone. As we always say, ministry is hard. It is so much better when we do it together. Take care. Catch you next week.